Hi, this is Carl Polachek with another SOP video for managed service providers. Today I want to talk about team management of standard operating procedures. So there's 4 things that you need to do as part of this. First of all, creation of SOPs. Who's in charge of creating them? How does the team create them? Second, who's in charge of or who is allowed to edit and modify SOPs? Third, how do you go about sharing your SOPs so that the entire group has access to them? And fourth, how do you go about archiving SOPs so when you're all done with them, you have a convenient way of getting them out of the system so that they don't clog everything up? So, first, creating SOPs. My preference is that anybody who is given a task should be authorized to document that task. So, the lowest level first day technician is probably going to be reading a lot of SOPs and seeing the way you do it. But at some point, they'll get to the point where they do something that either hasn't been done before or it hasn't been documented before. In that case, whatever they start out with is good, because the second thing is, how do you edit these? How do you change them? How do you update them? Well, I'm a huge believer every person who touches an SOP should make it better. So let's, for example, talk about setting up a firewall. So there's a revision of a firmware on a firewall, so now you have to do some updates to what the menu options are and so forth. The next person who configures a firewall should be authorized to go ahead and update the documentation. Now, it's very important that this documentation not be in one place and have only one copy for all of eternity, right? So what you would do is copy the documentation and perhaps put a date as the ending part of the document title so that it ends in, 2020-01 something, so that people know when it was updated. And that way you can archive the old one and keep the new one, and it's better, right? It's always been improved. Remember, the last item on any checklist is update the checklist. So everybody who touches it should be authorized to make those changes. Third, how do you share it? Well, now, this is a lot more difficult question than it was 20 years ago. Today, we have software that allows you to put your documentation into the software, share it to your entire team. You've always been able to put it in the PSA. That's never been a very satisfying thing for me. You can create files and folders just on your local server or on your cloud share or whatever. That's a convenient way to do it. And that works very well for a lot of people. It's a little less, indexed and so forth, but you can put tags on files and you can search tags as well as searching titles. A well-titled document should be pretty easy to search and find. And finally, number 4, archiving. How do you get rid of old documentation? I already mentioned what happens when you do a version update. There should be a place and a procedure for taking documentation out of the live area, whatever that is, software, folders, whatever, and placing it into an archive area. Anytime you get to documentation that is not currently up to spec, it should be moved into that archive. Now, there's kind of this gray area where some stuff is maybe a little old or not used very often, but it's not necessarily out of date. It can sit in the live data, among the live documents. Just remember that when you look at something and it hasn't been updated or looked at in 2 or 3 years, you need to be very careful that you are constantly in the mood of updating that the minute you touch it. Anyway, there's a lot going on there, but you should have a process, and whatever your process is should obviously be documented. For Small Biz Thoughts, this is Carl Polachek, wishing you the best of luck in your managed service business. Like it if you like it, share it with your friends, and absolutely subscribe to the channel.